Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm your host, Anya, with Restream Team, Austin, Texas, and this is Creator Spotlight. First, real quick, we're running this show on Restream. Restream Studio is the best place to start your own live streaming. And if you're looking to explore the new format of connecting with your community through interactive, real-time conversations, check us out at restream.io/studio. So today we are going to talk about professional live videos for businesses. And my guest is Chris Packard. He is senior streaming producer at LinkedIn. Hello, Chris, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Anya.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Well, let's start with a quick introduction. What do you do at LinkedIn Live? How does your typical workday look like?
Good question. I have a prepared answer for you. I'm Chris Packard, senior streaming producer with LinkedIn Media Productions, actually LinkedIn Studios now. I've been at LinkedIn for a little over 4 years now. Originally from St. Louis by way of Los Angeles, and I'm actually back. I was in the Bay Area for 4 years. Now I'm back in Los Angeles. So I work with LinkedIn Media Productions. We're kind of the in-house production company for all of LinkedIn, and we produce all the biggest events like Talent Connect and all the way down to our biweekly Company Connect for global employees. So in a lot of different shows here and there in between, we use a lot of different streaming tools like Restream and others to stream LinkedIn Live, and then. 2 years ago, I started working with the product team to help develop LinkedIn Live, the subject matter expert, beta testing, and providing input where I can, which kind of led me into a whole world of helping partners like Restream and others integrate to LinkedIn Live, as well as different customers and publishers stream to LinkedIn Live. So kind of able to help them do that piece as well. So not only do I help stream stuff from LinkedIn to LinkedIn Live, but I also help other publishers and customers stream to LinkedIn Live.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. LinkedIn Live has definitely one of my favorite platforms to go live on, because this is where I thrive as a marketer, as an educator for professionals that I want to share the beauty and the power of live video with. So it would be really interesting for us to learn a little bit about some events that you produce. So if there is any kind of most remarkable live event that you had a chance to build or put together for LinkedIn Live, that would be a great story to share.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll do two examples. One from like the shows that we produce here at LinkedIn, and another from a big engagement that I had last year. So the first one actually we just completed. It was called Spark. It's for LinkedIn Sales Solutions, which is one of our lines of businesses here. And we streamed to LinkedIn Live, and actually use Restream for that API integration, using Scheduled Live, which we're really kind of happy about that it's here, and broke all sorts of our own internal records, and which was really good to see. So that was good. That happened February 11th, I think. Yeah. So that just happened. But even going back to like the pre-pandemic, we were using Restream primarily because it fit our in-house workflows, pushing from our elemental encoders to Restream, authentication to Restream, right to LinkedIn Live, and we can multi-stream to other platforms as well if you want to do that. That's the beauty of Restream. Talent Connect is our kind of like our biggest conference of the year. We didn't have it last year, but we're actually going to do a mini version of it coming up at the end of this month. It's called Forward, and then we're going to be back on for Talent Connect come the fall, hopefully in person again. But yeah, the one at the end of the month is going to be all virtual. So really excited about what's happened in 2020 with streaming becoming like the paramount de facto way of communicating, because in-house or in-person communication was sidelined for a little bit. And Restream is kind of right at the center of that as well. So there's that. Those are like some of our internal shows that we stream to our members and customers. And then the other side of it, which kind of I fell into after we launched LinkedIn Live, was working with our publisher partners and strategic and integrations customers, that which led me to January of last year. I flew out to Davos, Switzerland, for World Economic Forum, and was on site in the video village with the media village with the World Economic Forum team and Swisscom. Shout out to Thomas Barna out there and the whole team. And we streamed, I think, from World Economic Forum, they were streaming about 500 live streams or meetings over the course of the week. I think about 30 of which ended up on LinkedIn Live, and all of them were streamed utilizing Restream. And then tangentially, I was able to help out some of our strategic customers and partners, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Accenture stream to LinkedIn Live, and a lot of them use Restream as well. And by the way, while I was out there, I got introduced to a lot of other bigger publishers like Reuters, who I introduced Restream to, and now Reuters is using Restream to this day. So, and I think the beauty of multi-streaming really sprang up before the pandemic, as a ways to meet all your audiences. And if you don't have huge internet on site, you can just stream one stream out and then hit the Restream servers and stream to all of your destinations, right? Whereas before, you'd have to have an individual stream on site, and you'd have to have a crazy amount of bandwidth, and that'd be pretty expensive. So Restream is solved for a lot of things on our end, and we still use it in house, all the time. So yeah, really happy to finally be on your program.
Awesome.
And actually, pretty soon probably start using Restream Studio. It's pretty awesome. Good experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it is. It's definitely, it's been great news for us when we became one of the preferred partners of LinkedIn Live program. So that was huge, and we're so grateful and honored and happy to be part of that, because I am a big believer that professional live video is the future of professional interaction with customers and building those tribes, building those networks around your products. So that is amazing. So I'm going to also acknowledge some of our team members here and some of our community members who are joining us in. I can see Aristotle says hi from YouTube. There's a question from Morris about the approval process. I will definitely get back to you on that one. Chris is not part of the approval team, so it's not the best question for him, but we'll definitely follow up with you on that and give you some tips and advice that we believe might be helpful. And here's Dan from LinkedIn.
Don't ask that question. That's my fault.
Okay. He's saying, what would be your dream content to stream, and where would it play? That's a good one.
Well, I mean, obviously be on LinkedIn Live. So let's take off that one.
Let's clear that out right away. Yeah.
Dream content. Wow, coming with the softball here or curveball, depending on where I want to go with this. I think the holy grail this year is going to become like lower latency live streams. And I think that I have some contacts in the streaming universe over at CBS that stream the Super Bowl and low latency this year. So I think that's what's going to become interesting, right, as we play this out. So and I guess where I was thinking about the other day, where that dovetails with LinkedIn is there's a lot of earnings reports, but natural latency across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the rest is about 20-30 seconds. So I think you're going to probably start seeing that close that gap. But as far as dream content goes on LinkedIn Live, oh man, maybe we can revisit this one at the end. Maybe this will.
Feel free to feel inspired. I can answer my question. I can answer Dan's question for you, because my dream. I really want to interview is my thing, right? Like this is my typical content. Even though I also run streams for product launches and Q&A sessions, I think those are extremely effective for businesses and tech companies. But my personal favorite is interview, because that's when you get to know a person. That's when you get to kind of build a relationship, because we're kind of in this together. It's kind of like we went sailing or something. We're stuck on this boat and we had to deal with all these waves and things and messages. And I personally would love to have the opportunity to interview people like Elon Musk, this amazing creators, this amazing tech visionaries, and kind of understand how they think and have this kind of interactive experience with them as well as with my community. So that's my dream content, Dan. If that answers,
living the dream right now. Basically,
yeah, right? I am pretty much. I'm getting there. Very awesome.
That's cool. Cool. Just to piggyback on that comment too. I mean, the beauty of LinkedIn Live is it's really to promote engagement and positive conversations on the platform. And I think it really, it does to that end. So obviously, hopefully that this is a positive conversation that people can draw a lot of knowledge from.
And that is a great and perfect segue to a couple of questions that I had for you regarding the type of content for LinkedIn Live. Based on your
Mhm.
experience, Chris, what type of content do you think performs the best today
Mhm.
on the platform?
So I think a lot of our content revolves around thought leadership. Like this program right now, I think is kind of akin to that. I think, from the early days, we saw product launches as being the kind of the big thing with webcasting. And in fact, you could even say Apple invented the webcast, right? With Steve Jobs doing the
Yeah.
iPhone unveils back in 2008, 2009. I know I was, kind of deeply moved back in the days when I used to work at Fox and I was watching the live stream on my computer and I was wondering, oh man, like I guess people might not need Fox anymore in the future, they can stream right through their computer. So uh, yeah, I think product launches are really exciting. Obviously, conferences and events are massive, and with
Yeah.
the pandemic last year, streaming became it was creeping up before as like shoulder programming for the in person experience, and then it became just as important. And then in 2020, it was all you had, right? So
Yeah.
everything was being pushed into to that virtual experience, which is super exciting, right? So obviously events, conferences, and then how that dovetails into engagement and people meeting each other on the platform and the engage, chat coming on the sidebar and people engaging with each other. I think it's a real facilitator for connecting people. So that's what's really exciting for me. So yeah, events, conferences, thought leadership, product launches. I had
Yeah.
three answers. Yeah.
Seeing some great comments to your points. Wow, I didn't even think about how Apple was first to streaming product launches, right? Even though it was not necessarily in the same environment we are in, but the
I'm not going to
concept
verify
is the
that they
same.
were the first, but they were definitely one of the most prominent, like back in the early days, 2010.
Definitely, that's how they became
Yeah,
known, and there was a huge
yeah,
contribution in building their brand and creating that connection and loyalty. Even today, Apple
mm,
conferences and Apple like big
huge.
product launches events are
Yeah,
huge, and people
mm,
from all over the world are just kind of marking their calendars to watch that because that's
mm,
such an important thing for everybody. So
absolutely.
yeah, definitely great
Mm.
lesson for businesses to learn and consider. There is a great question here from Griffin also. What do you think will be the next game changer in live streaming? Are those all your coworkers and bosses, Chris?
Yeah, yeah. That's Griffin.
They're being fun and
Yeah,
making this
I
interesting.
know, I know, I know. And actually, Griffin's a power user of Restream and a number of other products. He's been helping me
Awesome.
actually assess Restream Studio, and hopefully we can. Griffin, let's try to bring Restream Studio into our workflows. Pretty killer interface. So, should I just read the question? Sorry, or did you just read it to me? What do you think will be the
Yeah,
next game
yeah,
changer in live streaming? Game
yeah,
changer in live streaming. Well, I just alluded to the lower latency. I think that's going to be exciting, Griffin. I think when we get into live VR, and I think you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. I'm talking to Griffin
yeah.
in the past. That's really exciting, right? I don't know if you watched the Microsoft Ignite conference. It was like 2 weeks ago, but they talked about HoloLens and virtual conferences and people coming in as holograms and talking to each
Yeah,
other, and that just blew all of our minds. So that might be a next game changer. Although I think I'd prefer the in person experience. Hopefully, we can get out of this pandemic and be able to meet up in person soon. But yeah, live
totally.
VR and kind of the virtual virtual in person experiences. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's a term.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very futuristic. Like you kind of went like straight to Star Wars the zone of holograms and everything.
It was
And
amazing.
I was first thinking about more kind of like more realistic, I guess, closer, sooner possible things like maybe live shopping, maybe integrating live experiences like this one with the ability of customers to actually click on things or
Mhm,
somehow influence our stream with certain activities that they could do on their end that
mhm.
would kind of like inspire us to do something in particular. It's kind of a gamey approach, I guess,
Yep.
but the gaming industry was extremely successful with that by
Mhm,
allowing the viewers of the stream to influence the behavior of the creator by by
Mhm.
implementing certain things and kind of inspiring them to do certain action. And I also think that integrating ways to purchase
Mhm.
things or to actually, while still watching the video, to check out the product, to actually play with it yourself. Like, I would love
Mhm.
for people to be able to play with Studio and actually poke all the buttons while I'm still talking and explaining and kind of like walking them through virtually through our
Interactive.
abilities and our systems, so
Mhm.
they could actually play with it while they're watching me do that. So that would be something that I'm sure it's very quirky explanation on my end in terms of how that would be implemented technologically, but that's kind of
Absolutely.
the UX that I'm envisioning.
Totally. And gaming is really driving that right now. We're seeing a lot of those engineers at Microsoft that are kind of crossing over and working on a lot of these virtual experiences. So there's a real convergence happening. In fact, I think Restream is really founded on gaming live streams, right? Was
That's
that
how it started.
the
That's how
initial?
it
Yeah. Okay.
started. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Originally,
Yeah.
we were primarily for gamers, and our most popular platforms were a pair, since we are multi-streaming,
Mhm.
was Twitch and YouTube. That's what most people would do.
Right.
And 5 years ago, when Restream was kind of starting, when you
Mhm.
said I'm a live streamer, most of the time people would immediately assume that
Gamer.
you're playing Call of Duty and gaming, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the content. And now when I tell people I'm a live streamer, people also look at me and say, "Hey, are you a gamer? I didn't know that." And I'm like, "That's not what I stream.
Mhm.
I talk about marketing. I talk about connecting with people. I talk about building communities around live interactive experiences, right? That's a
Mhm.
different type of streamer, but still the same concept. So let's talk about
Mhm.
gear a little bit, since we're
Mhm.
kind of diving into that technological area. So as a live producer on LinkedIn, what is the essential gear, in your opinion, for creating live videos for businesses? Like, what kind of production setup is absolutely necessary? And does it have to be complex?
That there's a lot of questions in there, but
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what your budget is, at least for the partner, and what you're trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
For a major event, yeah, you probably blow it out and get a real production team like LinkedIn Media Productions, LinkedIn Studios, come in there and you have a full multi-camera on-prem setup, bringing in feeds, and that's going to be a little more costly, right? But it's going to look super polished, and that's kind of the stuff you'll see from Apple and the others, right? But if it's just like we're talking right now, which is
Mhm.
and you're, by the way, you're a producer, talent, the whole shebang, right? You have no other people helping you behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, which
It's
is
not even a
amazing.
one man band. It's a one girl
Yeah.
band. So
Oh yeah.
it's completely my show. I do have a couple of helpers, of course. I had
Mhm.
wonderful people helping me design all those things, because you don't want to see my designs for
Mhm.
overlays or graphics.
Mhm.
And I do have a couple of people who are helping me. That they kind of wave me in, saying, "Yeah, you're live, you're good,"
Mhm.
and they help us set up a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to actually driving the show, it's just me, and that's the beauty of it, because I'm independent. I can do it whenever I want to, and
Mhm.
yeah, and it makes it very easy, and I don't have to have an army to have a great
Absolutely,
conversation.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, the viewers can see like what an amazing production that you've pulled off by yourself, and
Thank you.
obviously, if you wanted to get even bigger, with multiple camera feeds and all that, and bringing a technical director. Oh, I went full screen.
Yeah.
Then yeah, she's
It's
showing off
easy.
now. Her
Yeah.
yeah. Then you can start thinking about bringing in a bigger production. But as far, I think your original question was piece of gear, right? So
Yeah, what kind of gear is essential for
yeah,
doing live streams for businesses?
sure. So, and just thinking like, when I went out to Davos, revisit that story, right? I brought with me, I actually have it right here. This Pelican kind of goes with me everywhere I go. And inside
Oh.
of that, I have a bunch of Teradek cubes. I don't know. I feel like it's like a Cribs episode behind me right now. I like Teradek cubes a lot. Teradek also has an integration with LinkedIn Live. I think Teradek has an integration with Restream as well. So, it's just a simple way to, it's about this big. It's solid state. It's gonna, you can even connect via Wi-Fi and different modems. I take that with me almost everywhere. In fact, I probably take it with me on trips that I don't even think I need to take it with me for, but it's kind of like a
Right.
just in case type of thing, right? I like it. NASA uses the Teradek core workflow, so it's used by the big dogs all the way down to just a producer in the field. So I really like that product, and they're based down here in Southern California as well. So yeah, Teradek, shout out to you guys. What's up, John?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. So I like to ask this question just to kind of challenge people. If you were in the field producing an important live event or an important interview, something, LinkedIn Live related, and you, of course, got to keep your laptop, but then all other gear has to go. You can only pick one thing. Just think about it as those survivor shows when you have three items and you're dropped into deserted island. So you are only
Survivor
stuck with
live
one
streamer?
item.
That is the best
Yeah.
ever. And we have to live stream it, right? It's gotta be
Yeah,
live
yeah,
streamed.
exactly. You gotta live stream the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And
okay.
yeah, you have your computer, you have your internet. Let's assume the basics are there, but then one extra piece of gear that you can have is only
Mhm,
one. What would you pick?
mhm. We're talking about just the computer setup, or are we talking
So your
software?
computer and your internet is there and your
Yeah,
software is on it. So it's just gonna be
okay.
in some kind of like external gear. So
Oh, external gear.
whatever that is, and it can
Hmm.
only be one thing. What would you stick with? Because you can have a camera, you can have a mic, you can have your lights, you
Yeah,
can have
yeah,
your
I know where you're going with
um
that. Okay.
yeah, like all kinds of things, like your
Mhm.
box, right? Or nothing.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I mean, I think if you have the computer and the internet connection, you're pretty much good to go, right? You can
Yeah.
do very simple live streams. That's the beauty of where things have gotten to nowadays. Now, flashback 10 years ago when I was a live stream, you couldn't do that as much, or at least it wasn't, it wasn't as high quality. But nowadays, I mean, you can see what we're doing here. It's pretty amazing. I'll mention a few things I have here it's pretty inexpensive setups. I'm using a Logitech. It's about a 2-year-old Logitech camera. Just hangs off my computer screen. It's probably 150 bucks, so it's nothing too crazy. I have this Rode mic that Tony Chung from our team recommended. Shout out Tony. I also want to shout out my team as well. It's Ryan Galvin, Tony Chung, Naja Alhark, and then my manager Dan Sweeney. But yeah, this Rode mic is pretty good, and I don't know if you guys can tell. It's definitely an upgrade in quality, and I use it on all my regular Zoom calls and Teams calls and all that as well. So
Yeah, you sound
it's a good
great.
little
You
it's a good
sound
little
yeah.
hack, and it's probably 150 bucks, 200 bucks, and has an arm, and you can really up level your audio. I mean, no one really thinks about audio as much. They always kind of focus on video, but audio is really just as important as the video and coming in.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm coming in nice and clear for
Yeah,
you guys.
no, you sound crisp, and it actually matches what I usually respond to questions like that when I get
Mm-hmm.
challenged about one piece of gear. I like to emphasize the importance of audio in video because remember how many people are experiencing this as a podcast. Aside from the fact that we're repurposing that into a podcast, we are also right now we have a lot of people who have this tab open and they're doing something else and they're just listening in. So your audio is much more important than your video because in general people will be much more forgiving to some level of inconsistency or imperfection with your video stream, but they will not listen to the conversation or stream that is really painful to hear
Yeah,
or
yeah,
really hard to understand. So
distracting. Yeah.
your audio is definitely, that would be my preference, and only
Mm-hmm.
after that I would say, yeah, think about lights, think about camera.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that the best camera in the world with no lights is going to look like rubbish, and the worst
Mm-hmm.
camera in the world with great lighting is actually going to produce something very decent. So that's
Wow.
another.
I need to write that down for the team. That was an amazing piece of advice right there. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
that's my personal experience
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely, I'm seeing a lot of comments. Gosh, like long ones. Martin is mentioning, he's telling like a whole story about how he was first alive on LinkedIn and he provided some educational advice with LinkedIn Group and how that is helpful for job search, and how that LinkedIn platform with live streaming is a great opportunity and a great platform for experts to share their experience with their group members. Great idea, and great. Thank you so much for sharing, Martin. Really appreciate that. And there is also Michael saying, with the pandemic changing the way we attend live entertainment,
This is
how
also
do
an
you
inside job here. This is
this this is this are all your coworkers. I feel so fortunate. Like I feel like I'm part of LinkedIn Live membership club, so to say. So
Mm.
we guys should all hang out whenever the pandemic is over. So how do you see live streaming changing the industries, and what would be different when the pandemic is over?
That's a good question, Michael. And just to go back to Martin's comment, Martin doesn't work
Totally.
at LinkedIn, at least not that I know of. But yeah, I want to shout out to him. This is kind of the thing that we're seeing a lot too, is our chat compared to others is really positive. for the most part.
Yeah.
We do have a way to moderate comments now, which was just released about a month ago. So you can have it, if you need it. But for the most part, we've seen, everyone's kind of their best selves on LinkedIn, and it's been really facilitated. And just to see like the, the upshot of Martin's comment that helped people land job interviews. That's kind of what we're all about, right? Provide economic
Yeah.
opportunities to the entire global workforce. So that's a, textbook example of how LinkedIn Live is facilitating these efforts. And then
Absolutely.
let's go over to Seraphin's question. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, with the pandemic changing the way we attend live concerts, how do you see live streaming changing these industries and what effect? Well, I think I alluded to this earlier, but we already saw, especially with concerts, things changing. I don't even know if I want to mention it, but I'm a big fan of the rock group Fish. And pre-pandemic, they were selling their live streams for like $30 a pop and making,
Wow.
pretty sizable. And these were 20 camera shoots, and it was pretty amazing. And there's other bands that are replicating that. During the pandemic, a lot of these bands shifted to all virtual shows. In fact, Transtagio from Fish had a whole residency at the Beacon Theater in New York all fall, or I think 8 straight weeks in the fall, and just played to like an empty theater and raise money for for a rehab center in Vermont, and it was really inspiring. So it's been cool to see like the creativity that's come out of that out of the pandemic. A lot of these rock groups, like that's pretty much all of their revenue. It's a big chunk nowadays. It wasn't as much before, but now it is with in-person concerts. So they had to shift, right? So and then the work that we do as producers of live streams became much more important. So I think post pandemic, and this is getting to what Sarah was saying. It's funny because I've heard some comments like, "Oh, what's going to happen to streaming once the pandemic is over?" I don't
Yeah.
have you heard this too, Anya? And
I
I'm
get
just
it
like,
asked all the
yeah,
time, all the time. What do you think will happen? Will people
yeah,
stop streaming? Will people will just
yeah,
completely throw their computers to the garbage cans and never be virtual again, and
yeah,
nothing will ever happen online, and all the social media platforms will go away?
yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, but it's like where were you pre-pandemic? We were already doing this, and our streams were super popular, right? So I think
Exactly.
I think post-pandemic, what's great about post-pandemic is we can have all this stuff in person. We don't have to produce everything virtually, right? We can have people in studios, and we can kind of have a hybrid universe of virtual / in person. So I only see that like getting better, or just evolving. So I'm pretty excited actually post pandemic, and I think nowadays too, since everyone's seen how beneficial, maybe lucrative these live streams become due to the pandemic, because that was our only option of communication of these ideas. I think there's going to be a lot more. This is my kind of my fingers crossed moment, but I think there's gonna be a lot more budget and more importance on these live streams, even for in-person events. Like I can see a version of like somebody throwing a big event conference, and they like don't have a live stream, and people saying, well, "You don't have a live stream?" Like that's gonna be part of the deal for every single event
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
sense.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because that's exactly what we're doing these days whenever we do some kind of co-marketing campaigns with other brands and partners. One
Mhm.
thing that we like to do is to include, so there are some standard things, right? Email blast, coupon codes. We're going to give you a discount for our service, and you're going to give the discount for yours. And then we'll, of course, write a blog post, and we will post something on social, like, those typical things that you would do. And then now it's just kind of logical for us to always toss in a live stream there. So we're going to go live together, and we're going to
Mhm.
talk to the community, answer questions, how our products work together, how do we complement each other, and how we can benefit from using both. So that's definitely becoming a thing, and more people are realizing that this is completely different experience for people when they can actually participate in the conversation, right?
Mhm.
So there are some more questions coming in here. Have you tried to add more people, 3, 4 at the time? Yeah, absolutely. Most of my interviews are kind of 2 or 3 people, but with Restream Studio supports up to 10 on your screen. Yeah, so you can definitely do more if that's how your show is looking. And Michael is saying, "I love LinkedIn Live. I was very excited to get into the beta." Awesome. Good to see people who are kind of like starting off with early version of the product. So I would love to talk to you about growing your community on LinkedIn, and what kind of techniques do you use when you are producing your live events in order to grow your community and kind of encourage the engagement around the stream? Like, what are your steps and tips to make
Mhm.
sure more people show up?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that. It's probably more of a marketing side of it, and we have our product marketing managers. Maybe in a month or so we can reconvene and they can give the
Yeah,
full story on that. I know from
absolutely.
from my perspective, promotion of the event prior to going live is huge, and we just launched scheduled live within the last month or two. You can schedule a stream up to 7 days out, and then you can share that link across LinkedIn, and people can click to be reminded when you go live, just like you guys did for this one. Uh, and then the other benefit too is you can pull that embed code and put it on your website or microsite or wherever else, syndicate it across different networks and platforms. So yeah, really excited about Schedule Live. It's just another tool, and then we have a whole events product, which is a whole other part of this equation. I think that's really what
Yeah.
maybe we can reconvene in a month, and they can
Yeah.
get the right people talking to that product. I think it's some really exciting stuff coming from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Restream, you can actually schedule those events right now from the dashboard. Like, this is how I did this stream.
Yeah.
I created a post in advance where people could set a reminder and show up. Right. So that's definitely for me, the when I think about promoting my streams, I always think about pre-promotion, while I'm live promotion, and post promotion, right? Like the three steps. The first one is definitely let people know in advance as much as you can, post it, encourage people to sign up and set the reminders during live stream, keep it
Mhm.
engaging and fun. And of course, post live stream, repurpose
Mhm.
big time. We're repurposing this into a podcast, into little clips, into sometimes into landing pages, and when the conversation is relevant. So that's definitely, don't stop at once you click that end stream button. That's
Mhm.
not the end of your stream. There's a lot more that you can do with this content, and I definitely
Absolutely. That's a great thing to bring up. And just to
encourage
piggyback
people.
on that,
Yeah,
the VOD, or like the replay of your live stream, is you're going to get probably a lion's share of your views, right? Because
yeah,
not everybody can make the live stream, and then that's going to, especially on LinkedIn Live, that's going to keep, as the engagement builds, it's going to keep showing up people's feeds, at post event. And then I think you mentioned about like highlight clipping. Was that what you were talking about? we
yeah,
do
yeah,
we do a fair amount of that as well. And what we've kind of found over the years is that sometimes the live stream will, get a couple thousand views or whatever it is, right? But might be some one choice clip in there, one snackable clip that you can share across the social universe, and that can get maybe millions of views, right? So sometimes like the live stream can be a facilitator just for that one little highlight clip. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Let me reintroduce you real quick for those who's just joining, and also for those who's listening to us on podcast. My guest today is Chris Beckert. He's senior streaming producer at LinkedIn, and we are talking about professional live videos for businesses and kind of the future of live streaming. It sounds like that's shaping up to be part of the conversation as well. I'm seeing some comments here from Scott. He's saying, looks like you both mastered looking directly into your camera. This is very acquirable skill, I have to
Yeah.
say.
Pro,
It
pro
does
tip.
take a little bit.
Yeah,
How,
some pro
how, how long
tips
did it
there.
take you, Chris, to get to the point when you are totally connecting with your camera?
It's called putting your Restream Studio right below the camera on your monitor. That's what it is. Dragging
Yeah,
it up to the, yeah. So you kind of have to make it small and kind of push it up there. But yeah, it's probably not exactly right because I'm looking here, and yeah, it might be a little bit off. But you look a lot more in line. So you have a DSLR, right? So is it right
yes.
side by side a monitor? Yeah.
So what I do is, yeah, I do have a DSLR, and I have a tripod that basically puts my camera right on top of my laptop. So occasionally when I'm looking at the chat and when I'm doing certain things like changing overlays, I do not look at the camera because it's just physically impossible. But it's really at my height, so it's very convenient for me to look. So whenever I'm imagining that I'm just talking to you in person, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I would look. So it's kind of um,
Mm-hmm.
engineered the way that it's very easy for me to do, but I definitely keep reminding myself. And it didn't come naturally for the first couple of months when I was just starting my live shows. I was
Mhm.
struggling with that, and I had a sticker, big bright pink sticker that said "Look in the camera," and that was my little reminder whenever it would kind of pop up in my peripheral vision. I will be like, "Oh yeah, here." So yeah, that's definitely one thing. But another thing that I have to say about this is with live streaming, again, people are much more forgiving. This is live interactive experience,
Mhm.
and we are making ourselves vulnerable. And at the same
Yeah.
time, yeah, sometimes we're not as picture perfect as the pre-recorded video would be because we're
Mhm.
doing a bunch of little things here in the studio. So sometimes when you look the other way,
Mhm.
what we're going after is creating the experience like people are in the same room with us, right? Like they're talking to us.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's not going to be that commercial ready look all the time, which is
100%.
good.
And
It's powerful.
people, I think, are starved for that authenticity. I think that's what you're
Yeah.
alluding to, right? And
Yeah.
you're not gonna get that in a polished video or, or posts, and so I think that's what why people like to do live streams, or like to view live streams.
Yeah, I think so too. That was actually one of my concluding questions for you. What do you think is that secret sauce, that powerful element that makes live video so much more engaging and so much more exciting than pre-recorded video? And you kind of sort of already answered it. That
Yeah.
authenticity is the answer, right?
I spoiled it. My bad.
No
Yeah,
worries.
it's authenticity. It's 100% about authenticity. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think there's a certain uh, delight that you get when you discover something new or something happens in real time that you didn't think was going to happen. I worked in sports live streaming for like over 10 years. I was at Fox Studios with Fox Sports and live stream, and I worked a lot in action sports. And there's every now and then you'll hear about somebody saying like, "Oh, let's just rebroadcast this," And I was like, "Well, that's kind of I don't know. It feels like a cheat, right? Because it's like removing that authenticity, right? And
Yeah.
LinkedIn Live, it's a hard and fast rule that we want live content on our platform, and I think it's for that reason. I'm not the product manager, but I think that's kind of the reason for it is real authenticity and hopefully people learn something new or as the one of the former commenters said, maybe help find a job.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I would add on to this that for me, aside from authenticity, which I 100% agree is the number one
Mhm.
driving factor of popularity of live streaming, it's also
Mhm.
the interactive part, is that it's a two-way street, right? People here
Mhm.
in the chat do have the opportunity to comment and be included in the conversation. We
100%.
kind of met a bunch of your coworkers right now without them physically being here, which is awesome. Like that inclusiveness, this creating space for others to be part of your discussion, I think is another powerful element that is completely not possible with pre-recorded content. Even though there are a lot of things that you can do, of course, there are comments, there are post factum interactions, but it's not the same as real time. So that's
Mhm.
that's the power of live video in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
Chris, thank you so very much for spending
Thank
the
you.
time with us today. That was great. Great conversation, great ideas, and great talk. And of course, on that interactive side of things, thank you so much for the community for joining and for asking your questions, for adding
Mhm.
your comments in the chat, and for spending this 45 minutes with us and with Creator Spotlight.
Before you wrap, just want to give a shout out to Morgan, Alex, Andrew on the restream side. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate the time on the platform. And Anya, thank you so much for being a good host and working with me the past day or two.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. It was great to see you. And all the comments that we didn't have a chance to respond, we will be coming back to you guys and responding to them as well later on. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll be back in a couple of weeks next Wednesday, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Cheers.
Cool.